I wish I had known this sooner. My life was a ticking time bomb, and I was too blind to see it unraveling. At 27, I was drowning in a cycle of self-doubt, failed relationships, and a career that felt like a prison. I thought I was smart, book smart, the kind of guy who aced exams and memorized facts like a machine. But none of that saved me when my best friend stopped answering my calls. My girlfriend walked out, and my boss told me I was technically brilliant but emotionally clueless. That's when I stumbled across Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman, and it hit me like a freight train. IQ might open doors, but EQ, emotional intelligence, is what keeps you in the room. Goleman wrote, "In a very real sense, we have two minds, one that thinks and one that feels." I'd been leaning on the wrong one my whole life, and it was costing me everything. Let me take you back to 2019. I was the guy who could solve a calculus problem in my sleep, but couldn't read the room to save my life. I'd snap at coworkers over small mistakes, not because I was mean, but because I didn't know how to process frustration. I'd shut down when my girlfriend tried to talk about feelings, thinking it was weak to even go there. I was proud of my high IQ, my 3.9 GPA, my ability to outsmart anyone in a debate. But Goleman's words haunted me. People with well-developed emotional skills are more likely to be content and effective in their lives. Content? Effective? I was neither. I was a walking contradiction, sharp as a tack, but emotionally bankrupt. My relationships were crumbling because I didn't know how to listen, empathize, or even recognize my own emotions. I'd lash out or shut down, and I couldn't understand why people kept pulling away. One night I hit rock bottom. I was sitting alone in my apartment, scrolling through social media, watching everyone else's perfect lives while mine felt like a train wreck. I had just had a fight with my sister. She said I was cold and distant. I wanted to scream that I wasn't, that I was just wired differently. But deep down I knew she was right. I picked up Goleman's book again, flipping to a line that stopped me cold. The ability to manage emotions effectively is a crucial part of emotional intelligence. Manage emotions? I didn't even know what mine were. I'd spent years burying them, thinking they were a distraction from success. But that night, I realized I wasn't succeeding. I was surviving, barely. My IQ had gotten me a job, but my lack of EQ was making me miserable. The turning point came when I decided to face the mess I'd made. I started journaling, something I'd always mocked as hippie nonsense. I wrote down every time I felt angry, sad, or anxious, and it was like meeting myself for the first time. I noticed patterns, how I'd get defensive when criticized, how I'd avoid tough conversations, how I'd push people away to protect myself. Goleman's book became my roadmap. He talked about self-awareness as the cornerstone of EQ, and I was starting from ground zero. I spent months dissecting my reactions, learning to pause before I spoke and asking myself, what am I actually feeling right now? It wasn't easy. I failed a lot, snapped at a colleague, ghosted a friend, fell back into old habits. But slowly, I started to change. I began listening to people, really listening, not just waiting for my turn to talk. I apologized to my sister, and for the first time, we had a real conversation without me shutting down. By 2021, I was a different person. Not perfect, but better. I rebuilt friendships, landed a promotion because I could finally work in a team, and started dating again without sabotaging it. Emotional intelligence wasn't just some fluffy self-help buzzword. It was the key to unlocking a life I didn't know I could have. Goleman's research showed that EQ accounts for nearly 90% of what sets high performers apart in leadership roles. That hit home. My IQ was useless if I couldn't connect with people, inspire them, or handle conflict without imploding. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about everyone out there stuck in the same trap, thinking raw intelligence is enough. If I could climb out of that hole, So could you. But how? That's what I'm going to show you. The moment I realized my emotional intelligence was holding me back, I knew I had to act, or I'd keep losing the people and opportunities that mattered most. Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence didn't just wake me up, it gave me a blueprint to rebuild my life. He wrote, "Emotional intelligence is the ability to monitor one's own and others' feelings, to discriminate among them, and to use this information to guide one's thinking and actions." That was my light bulb moment. I wasn't just failing at relationships or work, I was failing at understanding myself and others. But here's the good news. EQ isn't something you're born with or stuck without. It's a skill, and I'm going to walk you through the exact steps I took to transform my life. Steps you can start today. Step 1. Master self-awareness. This sounds simple, but it's brutal. I started carrying a small notebook everywhere, jotting down what I felt during tense moments. Anger at a coworker's critique, jealousy scrolling through Instagram, or that sinking dread when I avoided a tough talk. Goleman says self-awareness is about recognizing your emotional triggers in real time. So every night I'd review my notes and ask, why did I react that way? Over weeks, I saw patterns. I wasn't just mad at my coworker, I was insecure about my work. I wasn't jealous of others' success. I was scared I'd never measure up. This took me maybe 10 minutes a day, but it was like putting on glasses for the first time. I could finally see what was driving me. Step 2. Regulate your emotions. Knowing what you feel is useless if you can't control it. I used to explode or clam up when stressed, but Goleman's research showed that people with high EQ pause before reacting. I started using a trick called the 5-second rule. When I felt my temper flare, like when my boss questioned my project, I'd count to 5 in my head, breathe deeply, and ask, is this worth losing my cool over? It sounds dumb, but it worked. In 1 month, I went from snapping at colleagues to calmly explaining my side. Another tool? Exercise. I'd hit the gym or go for a run when I felt overwhelmed. Goleman cites studies showing physical activity lowers stress hormones, and I can vouch for that. My outbursts dropped by half in 3 months. Step 3. Practice empathy. This was the hardest for me. I used to think empathy was just feeling sorry for someone, but Goleman describes it as understanding others' emotions and responding appropriately. I started small. When a friend vented, I'd stop planning my response and just listen. I'd ask questions like, "How did that make you feel?" instead of jumping to advice. At work, I noticed my teammates' stress before a deadline and offered to help, instead of ignoring it like I used to. The result? People opened up to me. My friendships deepened, and my team started trusting me. Goleman's data backs this. Empathy boosts workplace collaboration by up to 40%. I saw it firsthand. My promotion came because I'd become someone people wanted to work with. Step 4. Build social skills. EQ isn't just about you, it's about how you connect. I was terrible at conflict, either avoiding it or turning it into a shouting match. Goleman emphasizes clear communication and conflict resolution as EQ pillars. I practiced I statements. Instead of, "You're always late," I'd say, "I feel frustrated when meetings start late." It's less accusatory, and it works. I also learned to give feedback without being a jerk. Instead of telling a coworker their report sucked, I'd say, "I think adding more data here could make it stronger." By 2022, I was leading team projects without drama, and my relationships, personal and professional, felt solid for the first time. The payoff was staggering. Before, I was lonely, stressed, and stuck in a job I hated. After applying these steps, I read 15 books in a year because I wasn't spiraling into anxiety. I saved $7,000 by freelancing on the side, thanks to better focus and confidence. My friendships grew stronger. My best friend even said I'd become human again. Goleman's research shows EQ can predict up to 80% of career success, and I believe it. I wasn't just smarter emotionally, I was happier, more connected, and in control. These steps aren't magic, they're practical, measurable, and they work. But knowing them isn't enough. You have to act. You've heard my story. You've got the tools. Now, it's your move. I was a mess, trapped in my own head, pushing people away, and letting my emotions run the show. Daniel Goleman's emotional intelligence showed me the way out, and it can do the same for you. He wrote, "Emotional intelligence does not mean merely being nice, but rather facing reality head-on and handling it effectively." That's the truth I lived. I went from a guy who couldn't hold a relationship or a decent conversation to someone who's thriving. Better job, stronger friendships, and a life I'm actually proud of. But none of this happens if you just sit there, nodding along, thinking, "Sounds nice, maybe someday." Someday is a lie. Start now. Pick one thing from my story: self-awareness, emotional regulation, empathy, or social skills, and commit to it today. Grab a notebook and write down what you feel when you're pissed off or stressed out. Count to 5 the next time you want to snap at someone. Listen to a friend without interrupting. Really hear them. Try it for 1 week, and I promise you'll see a difference. I did. In just 7 days, I went from feeling like a ticking time bomb to noticing I could handle a tough talk with my boss without losing it. That's the power of emotional intelligence. It's not some distant goal, it's a skill you build moment by moment. Goleman's research shows that people who practice EQ skills daily improve their relationships by up to 70% in months. I'm living proof. My sister and I talk weekly now. My team respects me, and I've got a side hustle bringing in $500 a month because I'm not too proud to connect with people anymore. Don't let your old habits steal another day from you. I wasted years thinking my IQ was enough, ignoring the chaos in my head and the wreckage in my relationships. You don't have to. You're not stuck. You're not just wired that way. Emotional intelligence is learnable, and every step you take makes you stronger, happier, and more in control. Imagine this. A year from now, you're the one people turn to in a crisis, not because you're the smartest, but because you're the one who gets it, who listens, who stays calm, who builds bridges instead of burning them. That's what EQ did for me, and it's waiting for you. So here's your challenge. Start today. Pick one step from the tools I shared and try it, right now. Don't overthink it, just do it. And if you're ready to go all in, hit that subscribe button. I'm dropping videos every week with real, actionable tips to level up your life, just like I did. Share this video with someone who needs to hear it. Maybe they're stuck like I was. And drop a comment below. What's one situation where you wish you'd handled your emotions better? Let's talk about it. Your story matters, and I'm here to help you rewrite it. Let's build that emotional intelligence together, because trust me, it matters more than you think.